Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says his country has paused its military action against Pakistan and will retaliate on its own terms to any future attack. The two countries agreed to a ceasefire on Saturday after hostilities intensified over the killings of 26 tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir. While saying that things have calmed down, Prime Minister Modi issued this warning during his address to the nation.
भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ.
If there is a terrorist attack on India, a fitting reply will be given. We will give a befitting response on our terms only. We will take strict action at every place from where the roots of terrorism emerge.
Let's unpack more of what the Prime Minister had to say with Barkha Dutt, journalist and editor of Mojo Stories, and she joins me now from New Delhi. Barkha, welcome back to the program. Now, that warning there by the Prime Minister was labelled at Pakistan pretty much. So is India now more prepared and more resolute than ever before to strike at terror targets and even preempt attacks like the one on Pahalgam last month?
Thank you for having me. I have just returned to Delhi from a fortnight on the ground in Kashmir, where the terrorists targeted unarmed men as their wives were forced to watch them being killed. All of them were also targeted for their religion, for being Hindu. They were asked whether they were Hindu or Muslim before they were killed. And thereafter have been on the ground in areas of Jammu and Punjab. The reason I mention these regions are that these are the regions that have come under drone and missile attempted attacks that were thwarted by the Indian air defense system. This was what Pakistan did after India targeted terror bases inside Pakistan, including in Pakistan's most influential region of Pakistan, Punjab. Now, absolutely, I think what we heard Prime Minister Modi say is that there is a shift in India's security doctrine. The speech that the Prime Minister made was aimed at Pakistan, but dare I say, it was also directed somewhat at Donald Trump. The American president has been literally obsessively on a daily basis making the assertion that he gets the credit for the halt in hostilities between both countries. But the fact is that within 2 hours of this ceasefire being announced, Pakistan violated the ceasefire, and every night since we have seen Pakistan send in drones into Indian territory and they've been shot down. I think the Prime Minister, and he used a Hindi phrase, he said, "Hum apni sharton pe apne tarike se," on our own terms and in our own way, we will respond to Pakistan. That was a message to Pakistan, but it was also a message to Donald Trump that there is no room for another country in this equation.
Yes, it might be a bone of contention because there was a bit of confusion, as to what happened. India says that it's Pakistan that approached them for truce talks, and then you got in the middle of that Donald Trump claiming that he's the one that brokered this altogether. So what's the timeline here?
Well, the timeline is a bit peculiar. The timeline almost looks as if Trump wanted to desperately somehow make the announcement of what he knew was coming before India could announce it. I remember being in a border village where shells from the Pakistani side, from Pakistan firing, had just fallen into the homes of villagers. And then I got this update on Truth Social, Donald Trump's chosen social media forum, where he claimed that he had mediated the ceasefire. But please note that when India announced a halt in hostilities, and India does not use the word ceasefire, so nomenclature matters, India does not use the word ceasefire. India used the word, it is our understanding with Pakistan. It is a pause. Pause is the word that the Prime Minister used.
Yes.
And when India made the announcement, maybe 5 minutes after Trump had tried to do a fastest finger first on that announcement, India made no mention of the United States, no mention of Donald Trump, and only said that the Pakistan Director General of Military Operations had dialed India. As far as I can see, Pakistan has not challenged the fact that it was their army officer who called his counterpart in India, suggesting a halt in hostilities. The two men have since had another conversation that has taken place yesterday evening. And so that dialogue continues, but it's a very, very qualified pause. I think that's evident from the Prime Minister's speech, that it is a pause, it is not a ceasefire. and that if there is to be another terror attack, or if Pakistan is going to continue to send in drones, then India's army commanders have been given absolute freedom to respond as they want to. So I would not call this an end of hostilities. I would call them a pause, and we're all waiting to see what happens next.
Yes. Now, something else that caught my attention from the Prime Minister's speech yesterday is that he said that if there are talks with Pakistan, it will only be on terrorism and it will only be on Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. Does what he says effectively slamming the door shut on any chance of peace talks with Pakistan or even face-to-face talks down the line with his counterpart Shehbaz Sharif?
I think just for context, one, it is important to remember that Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, has no real authority. And therefore, it would be worthless for Prime Minister Modi to actually engage in a dialogue with him when the real power rests with the Pakistan military and the Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir. That's point one. The second important context to remember here is that Modi, our Prime Minister, in his first term and thereafter did try to establish a kind of rapprochement process with Pakistan. He invited then Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif's elder brother, Nawaz Sharif, for his swearing in. He went to Nawaz Sharif's house in Lahore. If I'm not wrong, I think it was Nawaz Sharif's birthday when he went on a sudden, unannounced trip. After a previous terror attack, there was even cooperation with Pakistan in investigation. But I think India has concluded, and when I say India, I don't just mean the government. I think I speak for a large number, if not maybe 99% of Indians. When I say India has concluded that there is no purpose to engaging with a state, this is not about the people of Pakistan, but with a state that continues to use terrorism to inflict wounds on India and unarmed Indian citizens. And so I think Modi is marking a shift in the doctrine. And I think Modi is saying, we don't want to talk to you unless it's about terrorism.
Yep. And we know now that, Srinagar airport over the past 24 hours, it has reopened for flights to other parts of India, much to the relief of locals there. But will Kashmir be the same after the Pahalgam attack, given how much the Modi government has proved its tourism value for the country?
So it's a very important question, and it goes beyond tourism, and I'll tell you why. When the terror attack took place and all of these tourists, and many of them were recently married. There are at least 5 new brides there who are now widowed. And by the way, that's one of the reasons that the Indian military strike on terror bases in Pakistan is called Operation Sindoor. Sindoor is the sort of sacred red powder that women put on their foreheads to mark marriage. And because so many new brides were widowed, that's why the military operation is called Operation Sindoor. But very quickly, to answer your question, this is the first time I have seen Kashmir rise up almost as one against what happened. Kashmiri after Kashmiri that I spoke to recognized that not just was their economy in grave danger after what had happened, after tourists had been targeted, they were also deeply upset. And I remember asking one man, I said, are you angry, scared, or are you sad? And he said, I am sad for what happened. I'm angry with those who did it, and I'm scared for myself. And I think it's important to remember that I can't answer that question right now whether Kashmir will be the same, but I can tell you that Kashmiris want it to be the same. They want to go back to the benefits of an improved security situation, an improved environment that they had got used to and were flourishing in.
Okay, Barkha Dutt, we are out of time, but we'll have to leave it there. But thank you so much for your time once again.
Thank you for having me.